Jonathan Lee Riches Investigates. We've been following the Bryan Kohberger case, and a lot of us are wondering if Bryan Kohberger is connected to any other murders around Washington State, Idaho, Pennsylvania, or anywhere between those areas. And the media actually reported that Bryan Kohberger is being investigated, possibly with any ties or links to other unsolved crimes that occurred in Pennsylvania. Now, I've been digging around a little bit about missing people or unsolved crimes near the home where Bryan Kohberger lived in Pennsylvania with his parents in Effort, Pennsylvania, Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, which is in Monroe County. And there is a case last year, May of 2022, where a woman by the name of Dana Smithers went missing. She's a 45-year-old woman, and she went missing on May 28th, 2022. I want to share some information about her. Check this out. This is a report by the Pocono Record. Monroe County woman's disappearance leaves friends, family baffled. Friends, family, and authorities are continuing the search for missing Monroe County woman nearly a month after she disappeared from the area without a trace. Dana Christine Smithers, 45, has been reported missing since May 28th, 2022, when she was last seen leaving a friend's home in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Considering her disappearance suspicious and out of character, Smith's family reached out to Stroud Area Regional Police Department. We called on Tuesday and reported her missing, and we were told that she was an adult and she could go where she wanted to. And I guess that's not untrue, Stacy Smithers, Dana's sister, said. But the officer that we spoke with said that he would put it in his notes and they would be on the lookout for her. Not long after, SARP issued a missing person report for Smithers, who family and friends said would never have left without a trace. Her friend, Kara Cruz, who works at South Beach Tanning in East Stroudsburg, said Smithers was very much an open book. And her sister, Stacy Smithers, said she would never have left her family without a trace. She wouldn't have left her daughter, and she wouldn't have missed her last day of school. She wouldn't have missed her granddaughter's birthday party, Stacy Smithers said. They are things that she did, you know what I mean? She was there for that stuff. Caroline Griffin, a manager of South Beach Tanning in East Stroudsburg, said she had spoken to an employee who had seen Smithers the Saturday she disappeared, but that nothing seemed amiss. I asked the girls that was working, it wasn't Karen or Jen, how she seemed that day, and she said totally fine. Penelope was in here, just like a normal day of coming and tanning, Griffin said. Cruz pointed out that just a few days before Smithers went missing, she had appeared rather excited about plans for the upcoming summer. The last day I saw her, which I think was the Thursday or Friday before she disappeared, she was telling me how she was going to go down the street to get the season pool passes because last year it was too expensive to pay every day. So it wasn't like she was planning on up and just disappearing because she was talking about what she was going to do all summer, Cruz said. Friends and neighbor Tara Francis said that she had spent some time with Smithers the day attending a street festival and happy hour. Smithers later stopped by at Francis' home. We talked for a couple of minutes, and then she left, Francis said. This is Dana Smithers right here. Francis's ring camera caught a shot of Smithers leaving the home, the very last image anyone would see of her, with her cell phone in hand. SARP has noted that Smithers' cell phone, wallet, and daily prescription medication were all found at her home. Stacy Smithers, Francis, Cruz, and Griffin all explained that there was no way that Smithers would leave her youngest daughter, Penelope, alone for such long, as they had an incredibly close relationship. For instance, every time she would come in, she would have new pictures and places she's been with Penelope, whether it be a concert, Trolls on Ice, or anything, like a monster truck show.
She was always taking Penelope places, and she was always so excited about it. Despite weeks of searching and posting missing person flyers around the region and passing along information through social media channels, Smithers' loved ones and the authorities are still at a loss. Pennsylvania State Police are assisting in the effort to find Smithers by providing officers for the search. Trooper Anthony Petrosky confirmed on Wednesday Pocono Record has reached out to SARP for comment on the case, though calls and emails were not returned as of Wednesday afternoon. Smithers is described as a white female, 5'5", 165 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a burgundy shirt and black jeans. Anyone with information regarding Smithers' disappearance is encouraged to contact SARP Detective Robert Transu, and you see the phone number right there. So, Dana Smithers disappeared late May 2022. Where was Bryan Kohberger at the time? In late May 2022, was he still in Pennsylvania? Was he on his way to Moscow, Idaho, Pullman, Washington? Was he en route? Was he already in Washington? Was he anywhere in between? Does Bryan Kohberger have an alibi? Has Bryan Kohberger been questioned about this? Let me know what you think.
May 28, 2022, Dana Smithers went missing. Where was Bryan Kohberger at the time? Now, I want to show you a map of how the distance between where Dana Smithers went missing and Bryan Kohberger's parents' home, where Bryan Kohberger was eventually arrested for the Moscow murders. I'm going to show you the distance. Check this out. So, you know, it's close. It's close enough to drive, and you notice that Bryan Kohberger lived west of there. Kind of reminds me when he lived west of where Moscow was, when he was living in Pullman, Washington. So where was Bryan Kohberger around that time? May 28th, 2022. Very, very interesting. I want to show you a tweet by True Crime with Eve. She follows true crime cases around the country, and she put out an interesting tweet earlier this year.
So this is an interesting tweet that True Crime with Eve made. On May 28th, 2022, a woman named Dana Smithers went missing 17 minutes away from where Bryan Kohberger lived in Pennsylvania. At the same time, Google Trends showed a search for Bryan Kohberger wanted when she was reported missing in June. So Eve is posting Google Trends of Bryan Kohberger at the time. This is interesting because a lot of times suspects that do crimes later start Googling their names or affiliations with what they did to see if anything is out there about them. And she's posting data from Google Trends. Let me know what you think about this.
I find that interesting that, you know, the trends of Bryan Kohberger around that time were up. And, you know, a lot of times criminal defendants that do crimes, they end up start Googling around after the crimes are committed. They Google their names or Google names centered around whatever they did to just see if anyone is saying anything, to, you know, have an understanding. So I find that so interesting. Is Bryan Kohberger related to the disappearance of Dana Smithers? Who knows? You would think that authorities are looking into this. Maybe they even questioned him. Maybe, you know, I don't know what the family of Dana Smithers thinks, but I just think it's very, very interesting that a woman went missing pretty close, within a half hour of where Bryan Kohberger lived. But here's the key. Where was Bryan Kohberger around May 28th, 2022? Was he all the way out in Pullman, Washington area? Was he en route that way, or was he still in Pennsylvania around that time? What was he doing around that time? Hopefully that the family of Dana Smithers gets answers on her disappearance and they can find her soon. Subscribe to my channel, like, hit the notification button. I am covering the Bryan Kohberger Moscow, Idaho case. Check out my Bryan Kohberger Moscow, Idaho playlist. Hundreds of videos covering this case extensively, trying to find out if there's any links between Bryan Kohberger and anyone else around this country with unsolved crimes. I think Bryan Kohberger did something to someone before he did this Moscow, Idaho murder, and I think murders, and I think Bryan Kohberger did the Idaho Moscow murders. I think he's guilty, but I think that was not his first rodeo. I think he's done something before. What would that be? If you don't agree, let me know what you think. Love this. Read your comments. Love the comments. Love the engagement. That's talk. We'll talk soon. Everyone be safe. God bless.